Well, good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. Can I welcome you all to this Cabinet meeting? Welcome very much, colleagues and partners from Blackstone. Potential partners, I should say. Sorry. So welcome. Do we have any apologies for absence? No. And disclosure of members' interests? Okay. So we move on to the main part of this meeting, which is around the Northumberland Energy Park 3 and the potential use of it going forward. This council is driven by our three key priorities. One is to provide value for money to our residents, the second is to tackle inequalities, and the third is to invest in growth, jobs and business opportunities. So in terms of those priorities, the value for money priority is met, I believe, in what we are doing here today. It demonstrates that the administration and officer team, and I underline the word team, don't just build new schools and leisure centres or protect frontline services. We also want to invest and take any opportunity we can for the benefit of our residents, of the county, and of the country, and actually the world. So it is only right that this administration proactively seeks seeks opportunities and is commercially minded. And I'm very grateful that we have an officer team that is entirely tuned in and driven by that as well. In terms of inequalities, I think the council is probably more proactive in terms of tackling inequalities than it ever has been. It's an important part for us to play. And it is only right that we act eagerly wherever we can to tackle inequalities. At the moment, this council is getting more money, I believe, than at any time in the history of the council from any government, and the Conservative government are putting more money into the north and into Northumberland in particular than the south than ever before. And that is doing great things for redeveloping and regenerating those areas that need that, and thus invigorating confidence and motivation and aspiration. We are very active in the support that we give through our partners in communities that need help. But in addition to that, we have geared up significantly our training and upskilling opportunities through Energy Central and through our new state-of-the-art welding centre. And this investment today will actually do more, I think, to tackle inequalities than anything else that we are currently doing at the moment. And thirdly, driving economic growth. Well, there can't be very many more opportunities than this to drive economic growth with a partner that is a huge multinational company and who has faith in us as a partner. That will bring one of the biggest investments ever seen in this country, never mind in the northeast and certainly in Northumberland. So before we take the report, I just want to say a few thank yous. I want to first of all place on record my deep gratitude to Richard Wearmouth, who some years ago chaired our arm's length company, Advanced Northumberland, and with his officer team and his board created areas of land in the peninsula around Blythe and up and beyond that would prove to be very important in the future of this county. Without that foresight and strategic thinking, we would not have got to the position we are today, and I'm deeply grateful to Richard and all of those involved. I'm deeply grateful to our officer team, to Helen, who's been a constant support and hugely enthusiastic in all of this, to Jan Willis, our money lady, who is tight in her fist with money, but occasionally I can prise those fingers apart and get money where I would like it. So she's been hugely important. Stephen, Michael of Advance, and especially I want to thank Sarah McMillan and Simon Nielsen, who have devoted huge amounts of time tirelessly, without complaint, on this project, with huge commitment, not just to the council, but to the county. And I'm deeply grateful to both of them. I'm very grateful to our property and legal advisors who have given us advice throughout. I'm grateful to members of all the political parties who have attended briefing sessions, who have asked really probing questions, and who have been incredibly useful in getting us to where we are today. And I'm very grateful to them. I want to thank government civil servants, ministers, and particularly Lord Johnson. I want to thank Phil and Peter Rolton, and above all, Martin Bellamy. And most of all, I want to thank the key partners that we have with us today, Blackstone QTS, and particularly Alexis, who we have had the pleasure of working with for some months, and Chad, who is a veritable star. And I look forward to seeing him again soon when he comes across from America. So the report that we look at today outlines all the work that's taken place, and that has been a significant amount of work. It outlines the due diligence that we have carried out and all the legal and specialist property advice that we've had over the last few months. As one of the world's leading investors, Blackstone is already at the forefront of data center development with 34 operational facilities in Europe and the United States. So the report in front of us is not about the council selling land to this NEP3 land to Blackstone, because we don't own the land, we know that, nor have we bought it back. Instead, we're deciding whether to amend the details of the buyback clause that this administration put into the original sale of the NEP3 land some years ago. And as it happens, that buyback clause is important for a number of reasons. It enables Blackstone to invest up to £10 billion in AI data centres on that site. That will place our county on the global map of future world economy and potentially attract other high-tech companies to Northumberland. It will bring hundreds of jobs to our county, to our region. It will create thousands of well-paid construction jobs. And as we all know, construction jobs create opportunities for local skills, local supply centres, local training. And it is a game-changing boost for our local economy. And crucially, in exchange for amending the council's buyback clause, we will secure over time up to £110 million. That money will go into our new Growth and Investment Endowment Fund, which will be specifically to invest in new business, new opportunities, new jobs, and will allow us to continue the already pretty fantastic work that we see going on in Northumberland in terms of new business and new opportunities. And that money will be placed across the county as well as along the economic corridor along the Northumberland line, which is soon to open. So, in this report, there are 7 recommendations. I'm going to now formally propose those and then open up for discussion. So I'm formally proposing those. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wearmouth. So the report is before you, Cabinet. Are there any questions, queries, points of view that you would like to raise? Yes, Councillor Stewart.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. This is a very momentous day for Northumberland. We're not taking it as read, so I'm going to be asking some deep questions of possibly the Deputy Leader. Jobs. Our residents and businesses, we've got a wide range of skills and abilities going back many years. Many of them have got transferable skills as well. We know they've got high educational standards in this county, from the family hubs throughout the schools and academies to post-16 and other education. What we have got is, the beauty of the county is a wide geographical area. So I've raised it before, and no excuses of raising it again. Can you please enlarge upon what's been said there by the Leader? What support will be for the workers looking for employment there in South East Northumberland? But my question's really about the rest of the county as well. How to get out there and encourage people to go for these jobs there. What skills and abilities will they need? What educational support will they have leading up to this? And also the supply chain. How can we support the supply chain? And in the future, hopefully, if this business does get approval here today and it starts up, what is the future have we got planned for education and employment skills?
Excellent question. Richard, do you want to take that question?
Yes, thank you, Leader. So I'll do that, and then I will push my luck and make some comments, if I may, of my own as well. Gordon, it's a really good question, and as you know, when any business comes to Northumberland, and we're very fortunate that there's a very healthy amount of inward investment into the county, we work tirelessly with those companies to make sure that we get maximum impact on the ground. That means employment opportunities. It means linking early with educational providers, with the schools, with the colleges, with the region's universities, to make sure that we get the maximum benefit. And when it comes to those companies that you're talking about who have a whole host of specialist skills in this area, or skills that are aligned with this type of industry, or could be adapted to reflect a company like QTS and Blackstone landing here, we put a lot of work into that. I'm sure in due course, if we make a positive decision on the report, is going to include all sorts of road shows, workshops, get to know you sessions, and so on. And I know that colleagues to be hopefully in Blackstone QTS will be committed to that approach, because we've seen that in their approach elsewhere. They are firmly embedded in the business ecosystems where they work. It's been really, it has been a privilege and a pleasure to get to know them and understand how much they value the communities in which they land with their projects. Now, Leader, if I may, having hopefully answered that question, and Gordon can quiz me a little bit more, or anyone else a little bit more if needs be, a little bit more just sort of scene setting as well from my perspective, to pick up some of the themes that you've talked about. And so our cabinet meetings, for those of you and Blackstone, perhaps not, you'll be fortunate not to sit through too many cabinet meetings through the course of your life. But yes, we debate things here. Yes, we make decisions here, but we also inform the public about our journey and where it is that we're going with our chosen partners. And so I'd like to take a bit more of a moment to explain that opportunity for the purposes of the minutes, but also for those that might be watching us on the live stream at home. And indeed, we've got some TV cameras here as well, where they may choose to pick up some of the information from the meeting today. So the Council's taken a huge amount of care in constructing this deal, Leader, it's fair to say, and the ones that have existed previously for this site as well. And you did not mention your own name, of course, because you're too bashful and too shy to do so. But you have played an incredibly important part in amongst that team. And please let me just say that now, before I forget, that you've led this discussion and this negotiation in an incredibly diligent and considered way. In 2020, NCC put in place the buyback arrangements for this site. It cost us nothing, but it did give us a huge amount of influence and control on behalf of the community and the Northumberland taxpayer. The previous owners have spent a very large amount of money on developing that site, but none of it from NCC and none of it from the government. But in so doing, they've spent their own money. They have cleared the site. They've levelled parts of the site. They've surveyed it endlessly, and they have added a significant amount of value to that site, for which we're very grateful as Northumberland and indeed for UK PLC as well. So valuable, in fact, that as the report says, Blackstone and QTS are prepared to pay over a period of time a sum of £110 million for the privilege of developing this site. And it will be a privilege because it is a fantastic site and it's a great place to enhance your business and launch your business here in the northeast of England. It's a great deal for Northumberland as a taxpayer, of course, because we've earned a significant financial return. And picking up some of the things that Gordon was mentioning there, that financial return will allow us to create the platform for a whole series of wider opportunities that will create jobs and investment alongside your multi-billion pound investment in our county. And that's something for which we're incredibly grateful. We have many, as you know, Leader and Wojciech, as a portfolio holder, will be aware, many live opportunities to land inquiries, and having some of the wherewithal financially and in other ways too to enhance our offer will make us an incredibly competitive place for investment, not just in the UK, which is important, and in the region, but in Europe and across the world. And that is not to be forgotten in this deal. It is a very significant part of the arrangements that we have put in place. It's a great deal for Blackstone QTS too. That must be emphasised. They are getting an amazing opportunity to create something spectacular on this site that uniquely mirrors, I feel, and hopefully that they agree, their requirements for a project of this nature and this size and scale. And the site is huge, as all of us who have walked around it know. It takes a long time. It's big enough to house a series of these very large buildings, these AI data centres, that will be right at the heart of the AI revolution, which is just starting and is going on across the world. And AI will be a massive part of our lives to come. It'll create huge amounts of opportunity. It'll transform the way that we work. It will make work much more easy, hopefully. It will make us much more productive, and it'll allow us to focus our times as human beings in ways that add so much more value to our lives and to our economy. It will undoubtedly change the way that we deal with all sorts of things. So people no doubt probably think of chatbots and this and that and the other, and of course it's not that at all that is probably going to be really transformed by the sort of work that will go on around this campus and the ecosystem that hopefully will grow up around this investment. It's things like our health services, our green tech. It's going to be so transformational to every part of our business and life and every part of our existence as human beings, and that's a massive benefit to Northumberland. And a little bit of a history lesson, if I may, and I won't take up too much of time with this, but you're coming to a part of Northumberland where the railway, the rails that provide the tracks for railways were invented, the place where they were exported to the Stockton to Darlington Railway that's celebrating its 200th or so anniversary coming up. And it's quite fitting that a place that enabled that industrial revolution right at the start of 2 centuries ago at this time is providing a platform, a unique platform in Europe perhaps at this stage for an AI revolution. It's a fantastically exciting thing, and I know residents will be really keen to support it. And so we're looking forward to working with Blackstone QTS, making our home your home, and you're very welcome here. There's lots more things that I could talk about. I could talk about the fantastic opportunities around waste heat and all of the things that we could do to help you there in terms of district heating and all of the other connections that we will help you to create within the wider ecosystem. But I won't, because I have the tendency to talk too much. And so I'll return to the leader now and see if there's any more questions. Thank you.
Yes, well, I wouldn't argue. No, thanks, Richard, for that. It's a very good summary and identifies exactly where all our hearts are in this. Question from Councillor Jeff Watson.
I'm from further north of this particular area. All of us as cabinet members are also ward councillors. My ward is Amble, and Amble is not in the southeast, it's on the edge, but it's only 20 minutes commutable time to your factory. This will be great for my ward. I have a couple of questions on to the administration. Could a gigafactory still happen if we go ahead with this current proposal, if it came about? And the second thing that I need to be clear in my head is the government supportive of what we're doing? So I don't know who would like to answer those questions.
I'll take that, and I think Richard might want to add something. So yes is the answer. We have sufficient parcels of land that would support a very large-scale type of enterprise, like a battery plant, a gigafactory. But we also have a number of other sites that would support other industry and other development. And as we speak, we know there are others who are looking carefully and with interest at some of those sites right now. So I think it just underlines the fact that Northumberland has a rich history in terms of its industrial past, as Richard alluded to. But I think people like to come to Northumberland because it is actually the very best place in England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland as well. It is just the most wonderful place to live. You know, just look outside and it's not raining, which is sensational. It's absolutely amazing. No, but the sun nearly always shines here. But I think, you know, with our rich heritage, our historical heritage, industrial heritage, our castles, our coasts, our hills, our sheep, we have masses of things that encourage people to come to Northumberland. And what better place to invest, particularly in a green industry, than Northumberland with everything we have to offer. That's gone miles off the question, but the answer is yes, there are plenty of other opportunities across the county, actually, but particularly in and around that area. We are working with potential investors as we speak. Richard, do you want to take the second part?
So I'll comment a little bit on the first part as well, Leader, but not too much. Just to say that another benefit of this site, albeit through a few challenging years, has been the fact that we've seen people flock here to talk to us about what they can do in all sorts of industries. We've got a whole host of live conversations. We feel that this is the best fit for this site for a whole host of reasons, including those tools that it provides us to anchor some of those other investments. There's lots to do. There is no reason why we could not find land for another gigaplant site. In fact, we have ideas in mind in that regard, but there has to be an end user, and at the moment there is not that in the marketplace, and there wasn't likely to be in the immediate future. Hence, we were happy to go along this route. In terms of support from the government have been incredibly helpful and supportive in terms of this project. They've given us some great advice throughout, and I think that this is something that's desperately needed by the UK government, by Europe as well. These data centres and these AI campuses, more importantly, because that's what it is, are going to be key to every developed economy, and we need to start this journey quickly. And I'm sure that's what the government would say if they had representatives sat here with us today.
Thank you very much. And I would underline the fact that, as I said at the beginning, Dominic Johnson, has been incredibly helpful in his role as Minister at the Department of Trade and Industry. And I'm very grateful to him and the civil servants involved as well as our contacts in Westminster. John Riddle. Now, John represents a very, very rural area, miles up there to the north, where you have more sheep than voters, I think, John.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I think I've got more sheep, more cattle, more trees than voters. Definitely, it's a very remote rural area, and yeah, you know, I'm going to endorse this proposal today. I think it's probably the most monumental thing that's come in front of me in my 34 years as a county councillor. So, you know, I'm going to be supporting this definitely and fully embracing it. But I would just like a little bit more information, Leader, on the potential, this massive potential for this growth and investment endowment fund, and how that's actually going to benefit people out in the sticks, so to speak, and the very remote areas of the likes that I live in.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good question. So we know that our new Northumberland line, which is a railway line that's opening for the first time in 64 years, I think it is, since it was closed, an incredible investment from government and ourselves. There is an economic corridor along that line in which we see great potential to invest. But similarly, investing across the county in this fund will be entirely appropriate and will happen. So it will be around creating jobs, around business opportunities, around upskilling people. It will be around making sure that we make the most of every acre in the county that wishes to see business or investment grow. And so, yes, I can assure you that all rural areas will be equally significant when it comes to potential investment. Councillor Renner-Thompson first.
Thank you, Leader. You started off by mentioning Advance Northumberland and Councillor Wearmouth. I was on the board of Advance Northumberland under his infallible leadership, and everything that he said then has been proved right. That we're talking about at this meeting today. You know, if it wasn't for Richard, the land probably would have been sold. We wouldn't have had the buyback clause, and this inward investment coming to the county wouldn't be happening. So I think that needs to be said. It needs to be put on the record. Now, this is monumentous day for not just Northumberland, for the whole of the North East. It makes us the centre of the AI revolution. And what we haven't talked about, of course, yet is that it's mainly powered by clean, green energy coming from the North Sea, from offshore wind. Having these offshore wind investments makes us a prime place in Europe for investment. We have cheap land, we have cheap electricity. We're going to see more investments like this that we're hearing about today. But I'll put on my education and skills hat. Can you tell us more about the sort of data centre campus element of this and the education and skills training that we're going to get out of this? Because we've always said there's no point bringing this investment and jobs into Northumberland and the North East if local people don't benefit from those jobs. If we're just importing skilled workers from elsewhere, ultimately we'll have failed in our mission. So can you explain more about that?
Yes, I'll ask Richard to take that as well, because he leads on these matters. But what I would say is that we are absolutely sure that this will give great opportunities to people across the county and perhaps across the North East to upskill and to find jobs, not just within the centres, but actually during the construction phase, where if we look at the 7-year period, we're talking about well over 1,000 jobs in terms of construction. But it's not just actually the construction work itself. It's all the allied industries, and it's all those other bits that go together to create an incredible investment like this. And that is jobs, and that is wealth, and that is motivation, and that is confidence coming into our communities, and those people who will be able to fill those roles will do so, and I think will create great new jobs, and it is a fantastic opportunity for that to happen, because AI is tomorrow. This is where we are making a decision about technology for tomorrow and for the world tomorrow. And the fact, as I said at the beginning, that Northumberland has been chosen to be the purveyor of this and the partner in this is hugely significant, and it will benefit the people who live here as well. Richard, do you want to touch on this quickly?
Yeah, well, Leader, I think that you've covered it extremely well, as always. I think that it shouldn't be forgotten that there's a huge amount of work that's going to go on in order to construct these centres over a very long period of time in terms of the opportunity. That will undoubtedly be linking in with the things that you've worked on to establish, whether it's welding facilities, whether it's work with the college or the local schools. So lots of work to be done there, lots of opportunity. We're obviously just starting this journey, but I know that Blackstone QTS, from everything that we've seen from them in terms of the meetings that we've had to date, it's about embedding in the community. It's about working with local schools, with local skills providers to make sure that the opportunity is enhanced wherever that is feasible. And of course, in terms of that construction work, though, you see a whole host of added-on benefits as people spend significant amounts of money in the local economy, whether they be resident or people who've come in with particular skills into the area, either to live here permanently or to spend time here on construction sites and so on. So a huge amount of opportunity, and we just look forward to having some of those roadshows, get to know you sessions as we pick up pace with the project and move into the delivery phase.
Lovely, thank you. Wojciech Pajai, now you are a representative of a large urban area, very close to where this land is, in Blythe.
Yes, thank you, Leader. So I'm actually the member of the ward, which is located just over the river from the site of NEP3. And I'm very glad to see this development. It's enormous amount of investment, and it will be transformational for the southeast Northumberland and surely the whole county. I believe it's one of the largest inward investment that this country has ever seen, and it's a project of national significance. But for me, most importantly, it's crucial for the growth of our Northumberland economy. We plan to use this established endowment for 110 million to build a new land assembly and infrastructure to bring more investment and drive economic growth across the whole county. And what hasn't been mentioned here, if for any, hopefully unlikely event, this investment will not happen here, we still got our buyback clause in place. It will be, of course, it's revised, but we've got it in place, so if anything happens, we can regain this site and start again. But hopefully, with colleagues from Blackstone sitting there, that will never happen, and we will never have to exercise that clause. And you can see a lot of activity going around southeast Northumberland. Glenn has mentioned the Northumberland line. I would like to add JDR Cables, just who will be next door to Blackstone and QTS development. And now we've got QTS here. And this project will enable us to do more than ever to bring prosperity to our residents in all parts of Northumberland. And it's not only about QTS stacking servers, it's about stacking opportunities. It is about building a future for our businesses, our schools, and our families. And thank you, all people involved, for that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you very much. A great summary there. Okay, yes, Colin Horncastle, another representative from far out west.
Indeed, Leader. This is not so much a question as a comment on the situation, I think, if that's okay. I mean, I've been coming to this building now for an awful long time, over 30 years. I've been representing people in Northumberland. And when we're talking about the southeast of the county, I was here when the last of the mines closed. I was here when the last of the clothing industries in Ashton closed. Areas of high unemployment and deprivation. And for years and years, nothing happened. It was just economic wasteland. And then look at it now, the change in economic landscape we've got now. The massive investment led by this authority, along with government and north of Tyne, into areas like Blythe, all the train facilities in there, what's gone on in the port. The emphasis we put on opening the rail line, which has been absolutely, it's been talked about for 30 years, and again, nothing happened. And this comes along, and all of a sudden it seems like it's icing on the cake. We've got everything in place. We've started, before this was announced, we started a huge scheme in the neighbouring town of Ashington to sort some massive economic and social problems out there. And everything seems to be coming together. And for this to happen, and this is all, everything about this is absolutely good news. Even the electric side of it, the power side, Councillor Renner Thompson mentioned it. I mean, AI is a heavy consumer of electric. We have an abundance of power in this area, much of it renewable. And even little things like, you know, National Grid must be absolutely over the moon on the location of this, because of our abundance of electric. If this plant was to be built, if this development was to be built further south, National Grid will have to find a way of getting the electric from this area, and would mean a huge upgrade in their infrastructure. So there's nothing negative about this. It's all positive. And the economic spin-offs for the people of this area and the training facilities, I just think it's absolutely wonderful.
Thank you very much indeed. That's excellent. Okay. Yes, Councillor Veronica Jones.
Thank you, Leader. I can't say that I've been a councillor for as long as John Riddle or Colin Horncastle, but I have been a councillor here for almost 20 years. And I will say, over that time, so when I was first a councillor, you know, we have these areas, former industrial areas, which just seem to have been abandoned, as others have said, with very little, in most of that time I've been a councillor, very little ever done about changing that. So over the past 7 years, we've seen all the inward investment, the regeneration, supported by the government. But I want to say, in all the time I've been a councillor, this is the most exciting proposition I've ever been involved in. I would have said it was the railway line. Go back a couple of months, I'd have said the railway was the most exciting thing. But that's been overtaken now, and I think this is something that's going to change the face of certainly of South East Northumberland and probably the rest of the county. So I'm really proud to be involved in it and proud to have the opportunity to vote on this decision. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. So I think that is the end of the points that are going to be raised. So what I'm going to do is go back to the recommendations which I proposed and which were seconded by Councillor Wearmouth. I am not planning to go into the closed session because I think we've taken account of all the items within there. And I think everyone would be content that we've read those and are thoroughly conversant with them. So in that case, what I'm going to do, without taking too long, is just kind of explain what these recommendations are around before we go to a vote. So the first one is to note the scale and significance of the intended investment and all the associated infrastructure developments and opportunities set out in the report, and agree that this represents a project of national importance, which government have actually also accepted. The significant benefits it will bring to the county in the North East, enter into a deed of release, which releases unconditionally our current buyback option, which was dated the 9th of April 2021, and then to enter into a new buyback agreement, which will be with Blackstone, and that will be laid out over the coming weeks and months. Agree the establishment of the 110 million Growth and Investment Endowment Fund as a ring-fenced fund. So don't come please and ask for a new swimming pool. This is a ring-fenced fund for jobs and opportunity, business and growth. And that will be, as I said before, in answer to the question, it will be for opportunities not only along the new Northumberland line, economic corridor, but also across the county as a whole. To note the Council's intention to work closely with Blackstone QTS and National Grid and or the appointed power provider to enable the development and provide additional power provision to other potential users that NCC seeks to promote, including the possibility of a new National Grid substation on NCC land. And finally, to support the exploration and opportunities for the identification of additional sites through a land assembly strategy, and to bring forward sites for economic development and employment growth, focused on locations that are well related and accessible to our new Northumberland line, which will be opening soon, and the other strategic transport infrastructures, including the Port of Blythe. So, they are the recommendations that have been proposed and seconded.
You also confirm that the Part 2 recommendations, the technical ones, are also adopted.
And our monitoring officer, who keeps me right, we're also accepting those recommendations within the other part of this report, because we've been through them. They are part of this as well. So, with that word in my ear, can I ask you, are you in favour of the recommendations? And that is a very strong, unanimous vote in favour. So what I would say is thank you for coming today to join us, and thank you to everyone at home. I feel very excited about this, and I just can't say how much I welcome this for the sake of our residents, for our county, for the North East, and for the country as a whole. This will be not just of national significance, it will be of international significance. And I want to thank once more all of those people who've worked so hard and tirelessly to get this to where we are today. And it has demonstrated very much an administration officer team that is focused on the future, working with key, really important players like Blackstone and QTS for the future of our country. So thank you very much, and thank you all for attending, and I close the meeting.